Welcome to Jen Hart Be Awesome. I'm Jen Hart. Welcome to my channel. Did I say that already? Yeah. Okay, this is the place where you learn mindset, manifestation, and so much more. Today we're talking about the inner critic and how I want you to start kicking that inner critic out for two reasons. While I try not to shake my hand, for two reasons. The inner critic doesn't pay rent inside your head. It's a freeloader, and it likes to derail, sabotage, make you feel like shit, make you feel less than, and it also thwarts your positive manifestations. And what else? Sometimes it protects you, but 90% of the time it does not. Because what really protects you is your intuitive guidance. It's rarely so much inner critic dialogue that overthinks. Not that thinking is bad. Thinking is not bad because it's a powerful tool. Because you can, your brain has a natural mechanism for problem solving. It does not always solution look. And that's what you need to learn about. But that's another topic on another day. We're not talking about solutions here. We're talking about the inner critic and how you need to kick that bastard out. Now, is it good to be self-reflective? Absolutely. Is it good to be aware that if you're being mean or hypercritical to yourself, more specifically, or to others? It's super important because my hair is a little... So, okay, this is a perfect example. Part of my inner dialogue, and you can have multiple dialogues going on at once, and it does not make you crazy. It makes you normal. It's just hard to focus on one. So if you were going to focus in your own head and you hear that inner critic says, ugh, I don't like my hair today, or ugh, I have a pimple, and maybe it's not the pimple or the hair that's the problem. It's the it's the, what does that mean about me? What am I not perfect? There's something wrong with me. And like, I'm sure if you have an inner critic, I do not need to tell you how nasty that bitch or that bastard is. We already know. You don't have to go into great depth to know how critical that voice could say is that you didn't do it right. That person doesn't love you. You don't know what you're doing. You'll never learn. Like all this bullshit. It's all bullshit. So first of all, you need to kick that bastard out beyond what an eviction notice, because that person inside, that inner critic, doesn't pay rent. It's freeloading off your thoughts and thought forms. So how do you change that? Trickier, but it takes a little work. You have to stop it. So I was having a moment with my hair. I'll have a lot of moments with my hair because I have a lot of hair right now because of COVID. The thoughts do not need to create this false idea, this false identity that I'm a shitty person or that I'm not worthy because I don't have a perfect haircut, or that I didn't put on makeup for this quick video, or whatever the internal dialogue is. I don't have to give it more than a blip. I don't have to give each thought so much weight. That's part of healing the inner critic, because there are parts to the inner critic. The reason why you have an inner critic is two or three things, maybe more, but I'll give you just the basics. One, you don't come into the world precursored to having criticism. You just don't. Babies aren't critical. Now, your brain might come with some packaging or some, I guess I would call genes that you could interact with that will be expressed based on the environment. So from a psychological perspective, because I have a psychological background as well as a metaphysical background, so bear with me. So the psychological part is that, hey, you may have came in with some brain chemistry and you're learning about the world. You're a baby, you're learning all about the world. Then you may have a parent that is maybe hypercritical, or maybe your brain was thinking that the parent was being hypercritical because you were corrected. Maybe you were corrected way more than you would have liked. Or you could have been neglected, which is very similar in that way it expresses in the brain. in terms of, if I did something right, then maybe I get attention. If I did something wrong, then maybe I need to pull away my attention. Because sometimes kids do that in terms of like, they'll act badly to get attention, or they'll retract from getting attention because the attention that they get is never positive. So that's a backstory on what you may have experienced. And this is all about forward movement empowerment. How do you stop this inner critic if you've had it for like, say, 20, 30, 40, 50 years plus? Who knows? You have to stop giving every thought so much weight, and every thought meaning that you are not worthy. And it's tricky because your thoughts have been with you for all of your life, so you think they're kind of part of you. They're not a part of you. They are just glimpses of thoughts. Now, do they create a reality? Yes. All thoughts have the ability to create and manifest your world, because how you think is how you perceive the world, what the world gives meaning. So in another video that I talked about, is called The Law of Assumption. You should watch it. I assume that you did already, or I'm assuming that you're going to right after this. But and I'm doing this because my arm is tired. But anyway, so the inner critic, stopping the inner critic takes just mental exercise, so to speak. It's kind of like learning to lift weights. You just practice. So when you have a negative thought about yourself or someone else, because that inner critic tends to express outward. So if you think that everybody in the world is shitty, that's your internal dialogue. 90%, not even, it is your internal dialogue, because the whole world is not shitty. Are there shitty people in the world? Yes. But they're really how you see them. So, for example, if you go to the grocery store and the cashier is pretty neutral. Let's just do an example of a neutrality thing. The cashier is neutral. Not smiley, but not like a resting bitch face. Very neutral. Your perception of when you go to the grocery store line and how that interaction goes, and how if she's nice or friendly or neutral, is based on what you think. It's amazing. And you can actually encourage or change how she interacts with you by how you think about her. So if you think that she's pleasant, you might get a smile out of her. If you can see the smile with the mask. But you know what I mean? You can see it in the eyes. You can see a smile in someone's eyes. Similarly to, like, if you think that she's having a bitchy day, or she's being a bitch, or you assumed a tone in her verbiage. Maybe she's just, you don't know, but you're assuming a tone. That's a lot perception. It's not a concrete reality. So this should help you start peeling back that inner critic to realize that everything in the world can be neutral, can be very zen if you choose it. It can be very dark. It can be very nasty. You want to pick apart the whole entire world, or you could be positive and think that everybody is like